Hi, welcome back. Today's lesson is going to be a short one. You're going to do some more problems that you did on the previous assignment. Only you're going to do the even ones tonight, and at the end I'll go ahead and give you where you can find the answers for those even problems online. So this is number 34, multiplying monomials, lesson 8.1, part 2. The only thing we really need to discuss today, in addition to what was been done, is that you're going to be working with geometry, and in geometry, just like in your geometry class next year, you're going to be asked to use polynomials and monomials to calculate various areas and volumes. So we're going to do a couple of those, okay? Probably should mention right up front here that you can find these formulas for area and volume of different kinds in many places, but they are located in the inside back cover of your book. If you want to look back there, you can find them. Hopefully you've gotten to the point where you've almost memorized all of these. But let's take a look at one of the problems here, okay? All right, let's take a look at problem number 43. It asks us to find the area here, and this looks like a rectangle from the picture, and that means we've got to go to the formulas in the back of the book or from your memory and just recognize there is a formula for finding the area. And the area formula is the area equals the length times the width. In other words, you're just going to multiply one side times the other. Usually the length is the longer of the two, but it doesn't matter if we turn these around and call it WL or LW, it doesn't matter. So we're going to go ahead and substitute right underneath here. The length is 5 f to the fourth, g to the third, and the width is 3f g squared. Now I wrote the parentheses in here just to make an emphasis, but all I really needed was a dot between the two of them. But we're going to do what we did on yesterday's assignment and multiply this together. So let's multiply all the things together that are alike, okay? 5 times 3 is 15. Here's an f, and here's another f to the first. Remember, there's a 1 here. F to the fourth times f to the first. Add the exponents. That gives us 4 plus 1 gives us 5. And then g to the third times g to the second. Again, add the exponents. That gives you g to the fifth. And usually we like to write our answer in terms of units. It didn't give us any units here, so we're going to just use the word units. And because this is area, this is units squared. Or you could just write it units squared. This is a simple way of writing it. It's not, that doesn't mean you're taking and squaring the units here, but it does mean units squared. So you could write your answer that way. All right, so again, use the formula. You should have 3 steps here. One is the formula, then the substitutions, and then your answers. This is going to always be the case. Let's look at the next one. All right. Here's my attempt at a picture. This is a circle, and my arrow is pointing to this line right here from the center to the outside, and it's 7x to the fourth. Now, if we're going to find the area of a circle, we need to go find the formula, and it is area equals pi, and we're not going to use any numbers. We're just going to bring pi along in the problem. Just bring this Greek letter along. Pi times the radius squared. Now notice we're just squaring r because it's right next to it, the radius. And so right underneath there we're going to bring pi straight down. The radius is 7x to the fourth, and I'm squaring it. So I've got to put parentheses here to say I'm going to square the entire thing. I'm squaring the whole radius. That's the radius. This is r. So r has to be in parentheses, and I'm going to square the whole thing. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll leave the pi alone here. 7 squared. You don't multiply a base times a power. You just square the number. 7 times 7 is 49. X to the fourth time squared. Multiply the exponents here. This would be x to the 8th. So my answer is going to be this, pi 49 x to the 8th. Usually we write the pi after the number. It's not a big deal, but 49 pi x to the 8th. And again, this is units squared. Okay? So once again, you make sure you use parentheses here if you're going to be squaring something like the radius. Let's take a look at a volume problem. All right, here's problem 47 where they asked us to find the volume. And of course the volume, you can tell from my picture here that this is a three-dimensional picture. We're going to find out how many cubic units are in here by finding the volume. So if you go to the back of your book and you look for a formula for this, this is what's called a rectangular prism. Rectangles, got all rectangles, all the sides are rectangles, and it's a prism. So the formula for this is V equals the length times the width times the height, LWH. Now it doesn't really matter which one is which here. Usually length is the longer of the two, but it doesn't matter. We could rearrange the order on this and it would not matter at all. And usually the height is the one that's standing up here, but again, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to substitute each of these in here. I'm going to use parentheses, but I don't really need to. I'm doing it just for emphasis. The length looks like is xy cubed. The width looks like y. And the height is x squared y. Now, I really don't need the parentheses here, but I'm just going to put dots between them. So you can see how this works. I don't need the parentheses because nothing's going to get distributed or anything like that. Okay? So here we go. Now, I'm going to try to simplify this by getting together the like terms. Let's start on the left. X to the first times x to the second. Add the exponents. 1 plus 2 is x to the third. Y to the third times y times y. 1 and 1. These are both 1s here. So 3 plus 1 is y to the fifth. So there you go. There's the volume. And we're going to write our answer in what's called units cubed. Usually we don't need to write the word that way. We could just write it units cubed. That's just a way of saying it's 3 dimensions and you found cubic units. Or you could say cubic units. All right, let's take a look at your assignment for tonight. All right, here's your assignment for tonight. Again, it's in your book, page 413. It's assignment number 34. This is from section 8-1, the second part. I'd like you to do 4 through 38 tonight, the even ones, and 43 to 49 all. Those are some of those geometry problems. We did a couple of them together. All right, if you want some help on some of the answers on these, you can always email me and send me a message. But maybe you can work backwards a little bit too if you didn't want to do that. You can work backwards and take the answers, see if you can figure out how they got it. That's always a great way to learn. The answers to all the problems are found on, even the even ones, are found online at a web page that's in my email this week. Here I'm going to write it here, but I'm not going to keep writing this. So once you find this spot, go ahead and bookmark it in your book or in your computer. Maybe save it to a website somewhere. Save it somehow to a tab. But here it is. I'll just leave it up here. I'm not going to read it off for you, but it's a lengthy title here. But you can find all the answers in there. These are answers that are contributed by other people, so they don't always look exactly the way that I would show them done. But you can see how they're done. They even show you the steps on how to do them. So take advantage of this, and you maybe will learn a little bit about how to do the problems better by looking at some of the answers. We are going to be giving you a practice test at the end of this chapter, so try to keep up every day. Don't get behind, or you're going to find yourself trying to catch up, and that'll be overwhelming. So I'll see you next time on the next section, 8-2. See ya.